Welcome back to another episode of Mountain View Homestead. This is Andy, and today we've got a big project ahead of us and probably not a lot of time to do it in. The rain has been coming down all day. I don't have anywhere covered to work on this really unless I want to uncover other things, but let me show you what we got. Homestead, this is Andy coming to you. On a rainy day, the sunflowers have started to come to life. This is a 1982 Troy Bilt horse tiller. It's got the 8 horsepower Briggs & Stratton motor on it. Motor does run. You'll see here on the side, I did go ahead and swap the carburetor. I have not had a chance to rebuild the original, so I needed something on it to be able to test to make sure that the motor ran. What have we done with this so far? So we picked this up for 50 bucks. A gentleman that had this in town, when I bought it, there were no tires on it. I thought that was going to be that, hey, slap some tires on it, put a new carb on it, be ready to use it. But when I took it up to the garden area, the tines would just kind of slowly, sporadically engage. And you'll notice there's no tines on it right now. Inside, the brass gear that sits here in the back was totally marred, no longer working. So we took that out. I put in the new brass gear, new bearings, new wheels, new seals, and put it together and noticed that in the back here that you'll see in a little bit, the bearing was totally gone for where the drive shaft sits. So what's the project today? From everything that I can see, that drive shaft that starts here and runs all the way to here needs to come this way to be able to get access to what I need. So what is in the way? The entire motor is in the way. So I have got to disconnect. Looks like the engagement here has to be disconnected. Once I've done that, I should be able to knock out the bolts that are holding in the motor supports and lift this entire thing off. Maybe. That's the way I think it should work, at least. Probably will be using the jack over there to be able to jack that up and be able to get a little bit of relief on there. And then I'm just going to move that motor over out of the way and hopefully take everything loose. So come along for the ride. All right. Let's get to work on this. I'm going to take this fork loose here that moves the motor up and down. So I know, I'm just guessing here. I know that's got to come off. So let's get that one off. And I'll come to the other side and repeat. Okay, so that's got that part loose. So if I've got that, then it appears that we would also have to dismount the motor. And those are going to be smaller than a 14. Let's see what we need. So there's a 14 millimeter that I just used on the others. And for here, let's see, looks like it's going to be a 1/2 inch works. So I'm going to use that and see if I can get that broken loose. I'm going to have to use a little persuasion on it. Let's see if I can get this to fit where it needs to go. It doesn't really want to with that tire. And these wheels and tires, I just do not see coming off. We're going to get this out and repeat the same thing on the other side. Probably don't need to take it out the entire way. However, I'm afraid if I don't, I'm not sure that I'm going to get that really loose. So what I'm trying to do is where this motor mount sits, basically on here, I know this entire assembly needs to come off. And if I come up and it lifts enough off of there, I should be able to get these out, I think. I just don't know exactly how I'm going to get it out of there. So probably going to have to research that one a little bit, but let's get this same screw out on the other side. Now each one of these sides already had the head here, but it also had the bolt, the nut here that's on that bolt, just to know how far it needed to go in. I don't know if it came that way or if that's just the way that this one was, but we will leave it alone. All right, I'm seeing that. I honestly don't see anything else that's really holding that on this assembly. So I think the next thing I'm going to put is a jack stand under the rear, and then that way when I'm jacking up the front, it's not going to try to move all of that. We'll do that there. Okay, so I've got my cheap Walmart 2-ton trolley jack. We're going to go through here and see if I've got enough. Probably going to need to put a piece of wood under this just to help out. Let me go grab that now. And I'm going to just see if this will get the motor moving a little bit. All right, we're moving. So sliding up, take this off. Put all my bolts back. All right, so I'm hitting a problem there, but I've exposed enough at the bottom that I think now if I take my sledge and I knock those guides up, that it should allow me to get those. Then I can lower this back down and start to get those to come out. Let's see if that works. I don't know. I guess that's one of the nice things of an older machine. Okay, coming along. Let's see if I'm flush. Almost. All right, so I'm going to now let that back down a little bit. Tighten it back up. Okay. Okay, so let's see how these are made. They go down. It looks like, as far as I can see, it's a little bit longer on the bottom. Has the groove there where that bolt would have went in, and then easy to tell the top from the bottom because we've got that little bit of relief. So I'm going to put that to the side. Now the next question is going to be how well supported is that when this other comes out. Don't really want this whole motor to fall. That seems like that would be a bad thing. However, this tank I already know, it's got holes in it. I bought some patch, some JB Weld tank patch. So we're going to see how that works. It's the first time I've ever used it. And I know I'm going to have to lower it down right now because the belt still has tension on it. However, I just want to try to get this started. Okay, so that is not really wanting to come right now. I'll try to think this through. Lower this back down. Just want to try to keep some support on that. And I know that's going to have to come off entirely with the pulley assembly. Okay. So I've got that where it'll come off. Let's just see. I need something that can grab that a little bit. Let's try this. Just take a clamp, try to get something on there to where I can kind of pull it out. I know it's not what it's made to do, but that's kind of how I would fix things. Let's just figure out whatever works. We literally are under a shade tree, so no place like that to try to shade tree mechanic it. All right. Boom. You got it. Okay. So now, that seems totally loose. I should be able to lift this up and set to the side. Oh yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to change where you guys are at and show you what we're up against here. All right, so we've got the pulley here on the front. It's got a lot of play in it. However, I think the play is because in the back where there's supposed to be a bearing, there's not. So we should be able to take this snap ring off, pull this forward. Once we've done so, then I will work on pulling that shaft, and it should be able to pull entirely forward, everything out of the way, and see what we got. Now, while I have that motor off, I'm debating if I take this entire handle assembly off. Just to double check in there. Also, I need to drain the fluid. This would be an easy time to do it. If I had a seal, then I would go ahead and replace the seal. However, I don't. Unless it winds up being the same, I might have an extra one of the tying seals. So I'm going to double check that, but either way, we'll see what we get. Okay, let me grab my snap ring pliers. So what I ordered and what I got, unfortunately, are two different things. So I ordered a new set of snap ring pliers. Not what I got from Advance, but it was convenient to be able to do a pickup order, so I'm not going to complain about it. It is what it is. I've just got to find a way to make do with what I'm doing. Now, this is a keyed drive. meaning that there's only, it locks into place here with this. So it keeps it from coming out. There we go. We're coming along. Use that to our favor. Last thing I want to do is lose this thing in the driveway. Okay, put that over. Now, this should come straight off. And there's the key. A little different than a Woodruff key. This thing is obviously leaked over time. I can see with all that crud. I'm just going to pretend I didn't see it. I'll scrape it out a little bit. Just make it a little bit nicer as far as going back together. But we've got a garden that's out of control with weeds. I'm just wanting to make sure that we get this up and running and that we check these bearings. It wound up, I thought I was going to have to custom order this, but I got on the message boards and I found out that the bearing here should be the same in front as well as back. Is the same as in a 1978 Pontiac Trans Am for the front spindle. So that is a good thing to know if you're trying to get it and your local auto parts store carries it versus having to wait on parts to come in from Amazon or anywhere else. That's just really gunked up. All right, so I'm going to take some, I wanted to get the bigger stuff off, and then I'll just take some brake cleaner and get that the rest of the way here in a little while. Here on this, we're going to have 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3, to be able to pull. And I'm just going to get some of this stuff out of the way first before I open this up. And just try to clean this up a little bit. So I'll be back with you guys in a minute. All right, let's see what we need to get those off. And I think it's probably going to be an 11. Boom. See if we can get it with this one versus having to use the extension. I think the extension is going to be easier. Okay, got our extension on there. Nice and greased, so makes it a little bit easier to take off. I know it's not ideal. I'd much rather it be to where I'm not having to do this and I was able to just go ahead and use it in the garden. However, if we can take care of this, if the internals are in good shape, then I can fix everything externally over time. I can make it look pretty. If I need to, I can do an engine swap, although I think this Briggs will be fine. It smokes a little bit. It's a little bit old and ugly, but that's no reason to get rid of it. It's just a reason to take care of it and know that this thing has already lasted 42 years. Almost. Why not have it last a little longer? I don't know how many gardens have been tilled. I don't know where it's been tilled, but this thing has obviously had a long life, and we just want to take care of it. All right, I got those out. Now, if I clean this off a little bit, I'm just taking this screwdriver to do that. Nothing fancy here. I don't have a lot of fancy tools. I've got a nice tool set, Craftsman tool set that my parents got me years ago. because they knew that I liked tinkering on things. My grandfather always tinkered on things. He used to own an auto parts store that my other grandfather had founded, and I guess it's kind of part of it, of just working on your things and taking care of stuff. Okay. Perfect. Now what's not perfect is that gasket. That is old and brittle. I think I went ahead and picked up some gasket maker just in case, and that one obviously had given up. Let's see how we're feeling. The seal, I don't know if you can see this, but that seal is pretty rough just from being wallowed around, and that has caused it to have all of this play. Okay. How are we doing with that? That feels okay. Okay. So here's where our problem was. You can see here with this bearing that's on the front, it's got everything there. Those of you watching this, you might be looking at that going, oh my gosh, you got to replace that. And it's got a lot of play in it. I very well might, while I have it apart, see if the other auto parts store has that one, because it seems there, but that just seems a little bit loose. And maybe once I put the other one in, that it'll be fine. Here on the rear, all that is left of it is the inner part. So if you can see here, right here, the inner part that's on there, well, it's still there, but everything else is gone. So I've got to figure out how exactly I'm going to get that to separate and come off of here. I don't have that answer yet. Do not have that answer yet. We might just try what we've done so far, and that is just using something to be able to create separation. I don't feel like that does not seem like it is really giving any separation there. And I can't see with this other piece that there is any break with that. So let me get you guys adjusted so you can see a little bit better as well. All right, it worked before. Why not go back to that same trick? See if it'll work again. See if we can get something to bite on here. Not especially. Okay, let's see. Using everything I got. Really need my vise, but my vise is in storage. I don't know if we can do this without it. All right, I'm gonna try to figure out a little bit different way, a little bit different approach with this to try to get it off. And then I'll get back with you guys.